when you're that person that like just lets people in and lets people have your time and has no boundaries, even when you don't have the capacity, it attracts a certain kind of person that's like what I like to call energy leeches, or you might have heard of like energy vampires. And the reason why these people are perfect for each other is because they both want something from the other. What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Snaps and Golf Claps. I want to go ahead and get the formalities out the way as always. If you haven't yet, and you're listening on or you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, show some love, like the video, comment, do all that stuff. And then if you're listening on audio podcasting platforms, make sure you follow the channel, leave a rating and review, and that's going to help with the visibility of the podcast. Ultimately, we want to make sure we can connect with as many people as possible, so I give you thanks in advance for all your help. I'm also going to do a Q&A segment at the end of this, so you definitely want to make sure you stick around for that. So today, I want to talk about something that I think a lot of us deal with. I know I dealt with it a lot in the past, especially before I learned how to set boundaries. And especially when I learned that my value didn't lie in how available I was. So I think a lot of us, run into this issue, especially, there's a lot of reasons why. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty. I don't know the details as to why a person becomes this way, but I do know that a lot of us experience it because I've had this conversation with a lot of my friends, and like I said, I used to be this person in the past. There are some people that get value or feel valued by being overly available and overly giving of their energy. Growing up, I used to think that the ability to hold space for people or bend over backwards for people, even when I didn't have the capacity to do so, meant that that was my demonstration of quote unquote loyalty or being a good friend. And so I would do things like that. I would overexert myself for people because I wanted them to see that I'm a good person, that I'm a person that's available for them, that I'm a person that, I wanted them to see my value as a person. And I thought that my value lied in that. I thought that's the only thing that I got value from, was how available I was for other people. And I thought that doing that would make people like me more or make me more desirable person to be around, right? So obviously you can see how that kind of ties to self-esteem or lack thereof, which is something that I did struggle with when I was younger. So a lot of my value and my ability to connect with others came from how available and how willing I was to give up my time and my energy. And to my surprise, that didn't actually make people like me more. Instead, what it did is that it created almost like these cycles, and people that were the opposite gravitated to people like me, which is what I'm going to get into. I think this is the issue or the kind of connections that a lot of us have dealt with or deal with currently. And maybe this will kind of open up your eyes to maybe certain relationships that you have in your life. And by relationships, I do want to say the word relationships, but I don't limit that to just romantic relationships. That obviously encompasses platonic as well as familial relationships, in addition to romantic, but it's not just romantic when I say relationships. I want to clarify that. So maybe if you haven't identified these relationships in your life, this might open up your eyes and make you think about things differently. When you're that person that just lets people in and lets people have your time and has no boundaries, even when you don't have the capacity, it attracts a certain kind of person that's what I like to call energy leeches, or you might have heard of energy vampires. And the reason why these people are perfect for each other is because they both want something from the other, right? So A person like how I was wanted these people because I felt needed. I felt important. I felt like I could help them. I felt like I could save them. I felt like I could fix them. So I wanted people in their brokenness to come to me so I can help them, so I can fix them, so I can give them advice, so I can hold them. And these people will come to you because they knew that you were openly, that they know that you're open. You're rated E for everyone, that no matter who comes there, that you're going to be there because you get your value from helping people or from, being there for them, right? So they're going to come to you whenever they're going through it to just simply trauma dump or, dump their problems on your laps. And what happens with that then is that now you're in a position where you internalize all that, right? Because it's a very one-sided thing usually. And not to a lot of these people don't even realize they're like that. Like, again, just how you're the type of person that allows people to do this, they're the type of person, for whatever reasons or for maybe things that happen in your childhood or your upbringing or the environment that you grew up in, whatever, they also are this way because of their upbringing, their environment. So a lot of times you guys aren't even aware that you're these people at that deep of a level. So there's a little bit of like self-awareness missing, right? So I don't want to make it seem like these people are bad people. Sometimes they don't even know they're these kind of people. They just gravitate towards people that allow them to do this. And so, like I was saying, these two people do end up feeding off of each other, but one of them benefits a little bit more than the other, right? So the person that's doing the dumping is going to benefit from the connection a bit more, because on one side, you're getting a bunch of value from saving this person. And on the other side, they're coming to you because they know you always have open arms and they can dump all their issues on you. I want to make it very clear. Like I said, this person is usually, this relationship is usually very one-sided. Like they dump their issues on you and then it's kind of like, all right, cool. So what are we going to go eat? Like there's no like, so how are you doing? So how was your day? So I don't want to make it seem like when your friends come to you and they vent, that's not always the case, right? Like I think it's good for friends to have that healthy communication. I'm more so talking about a person that is maybe considered a friend or is a friend, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that, again, they could just not be aware that they're this person, but this is a person that usually is just like, this happened and I'm going through this and I'm going through this and everything sucks. Anyways, let's go get some food now. And, there's no ask about how you're doing, how you're feeling. And even if there is, it somehow ends up back on them. That's the kind of person I'm talking about. They come to you for the same kind of validation that you're looking for in them dumping all that stuff on you. They also come to you for validation. Instead of this being like a mutually symbiotic relationship, throwback to Bio 1, but instead of this being like a mutually symbiotic relationship with you guys both add to this, right? It's mutually beneficial. It's more of a parasitic relationship. Like there's only really one party benefiting because the receiving party or the party that used to be me ends up just sitting in that. And then you're like, well, now you're emotionally depleted. Now you are internalizing all that stuff. And now your cup is beyond empty and you don't know how to refill it because, again, your validation comes from being this person, but what you haven't connected yet is that being this person leaves you feeling empty and alone and like you don't have anyone, especially if this is like your close friend or close friends. So if you recognize you have people like this in your life, what do? Understand that being emotionally over emotionally available doesn't make you a better friend or a better person. Recognize that you guys are both trying to fill a void, and in reality, what you're doing is opening the door to things like codependency or even like other things that I don't even know the names of, but it's not good stuff that's coming out of it, right? Like you start this just energetic cycle of like not good stuff, and it does lead to codependency, I think, because you guys both need each other because you're both filling a void for each other of some sort. So when you do identify these people, practice setting boundaries, or maybe just bringing it up to their attention. Like, hey, do you notice you do this? Or, hey, can I talk to you about this? or like I said, practice setting your own boundaries. Now, if that person is a friend, they'll be more than understanding, and they'll give you the space that you need to process and to fill up your energetic cup. They'll respect that. But if that person has an issue with you setting boundaries and protecting your peace and protecting your energy, then it's, I think, important to question if their intention is to be a friend, or if they're just coming to you just to use you for that. Also, something that helped me a lot was learning how to, like, I look at energy as currency, right? So I look at everything energetically as debits, which are like additions, things that fill up my cup, things that make me feel full, things that make me feel happy, things that boost my energy, or credits, things that maybe take away from that. So if you look at like your life as an energetic bank account, think about it like that, right? Like, have I done enough activities, maybe like self-care or around certain people, or like being out in nature or whatever, to add to my account where I can afford to have a withdrawal, so like a credit, and maybe a one-sided interaction that's going to leave me depleted. Can I afford that, right? Like, energetically, can I afford a one-sided, almost like energy sucking interaction for the sake of being there for this person or whatever, or helping them with this, whatever the case may be, right? And for me, looking at it like that has helped me out a lot, because then I can see like, okay, cool. I can opt to be like, man, my cup is pretty empty, but this person really needs help. But if I choose to put my energetic account into overdraft, do I have the tools and the capacity to fill my cup right back up? Because it's important to ask that, because this is nobody's job to protect your peace or your energy but you. So like, you know, I there are times where, like, in the past where I've, you know, had my energy drained by all of these people that I consider friends. And then I'm sitting there like, dang, I could really use a friend right now, you know, to fill up my, so I was going to do the same thing in reverse, really. You know what I mean? But then I had to learn like, oh, it's not their job. It's my job to do this. So I have to figure out how and what I can do to fill up my energy. And sometimes that means, you know, being by myself and just vibing with myself and reconnecting with myself and getting to know myself again, right? So like, I think as long as you're like, okay, yeah, like as long as you're self-aware, I think that's the biggest thing, is self-awareness. If you're self-aware, if you're aware that what you're doing and the effects of it, and you choose to continue doing it, go for it. I who am I to judge, right? I get it. I do it sometimes too, still to this day, because there's people that I know and love. But I also know, like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but I'm putting myself first. Like, even in this situation, I come first. So I'll help you, but understand that I may not fully have the capacity to help you right now, but I'll help you. Just give me some time. Let me process. But sometimes they just need to talk it out, right? Like, this is what I mean. Not everybody has the intention of being this intentionally. Sometimes they got to work through some stuff. And just talking about it helps work through it, right? So I think I want to make it very clear that I'm not talking about like friendships. Sometimes friends are going through stuff, and if that's the kind of friendship you have, like, you should be there for them and you should help them. I'm talking more so about people that do this, maybe aren't aware, but also don't respect your boundaries. That's what I'm talking about. Is people that choose to ignore your boundaries when you set them. A friend won't do that. I don't know what the people that do that are, but a friend won't do that. So if you have people that you consider friends that don't respect your boundaries, that's not a friendship. That needs to be reevaluated and reassessed. And also, like, the last thing that I do is like take the time to process after you have interactions and after you're in certain places. How does that make you feel? Like, how did that interaction make you feel? How did that place make you feel afterwards, right? Like, do a mental checklist. Did you feel like invigorated and motivated afterwards? Do you feel like you want to go conquer the world? Like, do you feel light and bright? Or do you feel like, dang, I'm so glad that was over. Like, I'm so glad to be in my own space. Goodness gracious, that was exhausting. If you feel like that, the second part, then maybe that's not a place you should spend too much time in, especially if, again, going back to the bank account reference, if you don't have enough deposits, like positive deposits into your bank account. Maybe you want to protect yourself from those spaces, right? Like protect your energy. Again, it's your job. There's no one else's job to protect your energy. At the end of the day, it's your job to be introspective and identify these people and these things in your life and address them accordingly, or decide to just like, hey, look, I still have love for you, I care for you, but from a distance. And that's okay too. That's part of protecting your peace. Is part of the journey of protecting your peace is understanding you're not going to be 100%, sometimes you got to take a step back from certain people, and it doesn't mean you don't like them or you don't love them, you don't care for them. It just means that in order to protect your peace, you have to have some type of distance from them for a bit or indefinitely, whatever it is. But that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make them a bad person. It just means you putting you first. And that's that. Guys, it's time for the first ever Q&A. First ever Snaps and Golf Claps question and answer segment. The name doesn't really roll off the tongue. So if y'all have any ideas of what I should call this segment, drop them somewhere. Drop them in my DMs. Drop them in the comments. Do something. Help me, please. Because as of right now, it's just Q&A. And maybe it'll just stay Q&A. Maybe it doesn't have to have a crazy name. So if you guys don't know, I have a Google form in the links in my Instagram bio. So you can drop in any questions, comments, suggestions, whatever it is that you'd like in that. And I will pick a few. And as long as they're rooted in love and respect, they'll get the time of day from me. So that's what we're going to do. This is going to be the first one. I'm going to try to keep them short, but if I go on a tangent, forgive me. Some of these, I'm not going to lie, are really, really good, like to the point where they should be their own episode. So I might touch on them, but I might even make longer episodes on some of these. The first one I want to answer is the difference between being grateful versus knowing you deserve more, and success, guilt, and mental limits, etc. Ooh. That this is my first time. I want to say this is my first time like sitting through and actually reading these questions. So that one definitely just hit me on the chin. That one's tough because that's something that I currently feel like I battle with a lot, and I have my whole life. It's gotten better, but I definitely do battle with that because there are situations where it's like, I want the best for myself and for my life. And sometimes I get caught in this loop, like, why am I not there yet? What am I doing wrong? What is this? What is that? But I have to take a moment and be like, two can be true, right? So instead of like this question being a versus thing, I think it could be like, they're both can be happening at the same time. Like you can be in a situation, in a space where you're like, I look around and I'm like, dang, I'm exactly where I wanted to be 3 years ago, but you can still set your sight forward to whatever you want to continue to do. But the way to do that, I think, is to focus on your self-improvement daily, right? Being grateful doesn't mean you are content. Like, it doesn't mean that you're just like, okay, I'm grateful, I'm good here. Like, I'm okay with not moving forward. That's not what that means. That means I'm so grateful for what I have at this moment, for what I've accomplished, for the people that I have, the environment that I've created, whatever, insert your thing here. But you can also be like, you know what, like, yes, I'm grateful for where I'm at, but I do still want to continue to improve my life, and I do still want to continue to work on myself, and I do want to, whatever your thing is, if you want to finish school, I do still want to finish school, I do still want to become an XYZ, I do still want to open up a business, I do want to, whatever, you can have both of those things that can be going on at the same time in your head, and there's nothing wrong with that. Wanting more for your life doesn't make you any less grateful for the moment that you have right now. So you have to understand that, like, you can be grateful and still want more for yourself, But I think it's the energy you put behind it, right? So you can't kind of be like, ugh, I really hate the situation I'm in. Like, I want more, I need more. And it's like, that's gonna put you in one of those vicious cycles where even once you've achieved everything that you've set out to achieve, every goal that you've set out to achieve, you're still gonna want more. What gratitude does, it helps you stay present every time you achieve something, and it helps you be like, dang, I made it. I'm happy with this. I really achieved this. But it doesn't mean you can't want more. You can't want better for your life. It just means like, wow, I'm here. I did this. I deserve this. But I also deserve better, you know? So, yeah, two can be true. And that's okay. Like, it's just, there's, again, like I've said before, there's a duality in everything, right? So you could want more and be grateful at the same time. Next question. I'm just going to do enough to keep this at 10 minutes or less. So it might go a little bit over, but like I said, I have a lot of questions here. So best forms of self-love / how to build self-confidence. I love that one. I love this question, so thank you to whoever asked it. I think it's going to be different per person, right? But I guess I can tell you what I've learned to do, because this has been a work in progress. This is a work in progress for me. I think I've gotten a lot better than I was a few years ago, but it's still something I actively work on daily, right? And I think they go hand in hand as well. So like, it's almost like you can't have one without the other, right? You're confident because you have love for yourself. For me, like, it's been taking a lot of time to reconnect with myself in every aspect, right? So like, who am I? What do I like? I think a lot of times we're all trying to figure out this adult thing at the same time, right? Like, no one gave us the blueprint to be an adult. We got the blueprint to be a kid because we were in school and we did what we were told to do, and whatever, like in certain parameters. But like, as an adult, you just get thrown into the world and you're just like told to figure it out. And so there's no real blueprint on how to adult. And I think because of that, we end up almost like doing a lot of the stuff that we were used to doing as kids, that may not align with who we are anymore. So that almost like, think about it. Like, I know for me, like, I was doing a lot of the stuff that I did growing up just because that's what I knew, I was comfortable with that. But as I started getting older, especially as I started kind of to like do work on myself and learn more about myself, I was like, I don't like doing this stuff, So then once I realized that, I was like, dang, I really don't like doing this stuff. I realized that was the root of a lot of my lack of confidence or low self-esteem, because I was doing stuff that I just didn't feel like doing, so I couldn't be myself. I wasn't comfortable. And so that made me take a step back and sit down with myself and identify, like, dang, what do you like? What do you like to do? And I couldn't tell you, honestly. Like 4 or 5 years ago, I couldn't tell you what I liked. I just did stuff. I did whatever my friends were doing. And so when I sat down and like identified that, I was like, dang, I actually really do enjoy being outside. I enjoy being in nature. I enjoy flowers. So I would go to I would ride my bike to the botanical garden. I'd go stop at random coffee shops. That's when I really discovered, like, I like food, different foods, right? Like, I've always been a big food person since I was a kid, but I would just go exploring. Like, I remember I would go in college, on Saturdays, I would ride my bike into the next town and just have a field day by myself. Like, just go to the first coffee shop, go to the first place that like caught my nose and like be like, dang, that smells good. Walk in there, have a meal, walk around, go to the botanical garden, walk around there. And I would just have the best time. And that was a form of self-love for me, right? Which eventually, being able to do that, being able to break out of the comfort of what I thought I knew, helped also build my self-confidence, So that's why I say they're hand in hand, because I was like, dang, like, this is a new world. I can do anything. I can try anything. The world is my oyster, or whatever they say, right? So like that built my self-confidence, because then I saw a brand new world that I discovered, that I let myself discover. So like I think in the quest of, as an adult, in the quest of like searching for new things, and letting yourself connect with new things and try new things, and spend time with yourself, and you know give yourself the love and appreciation that you deserve, right? Like learn who you are as a person, what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what makes you sad. Like journaling helped me a lot. Journaling helped me a lot with self-love and self-confidence, because I got to see who I was on paper. When I journal, I don't have any blockages, any limitations. I just word vomit. And then I might go back and read it, a few weeks, months, years later even. And then I'm like, dang, like that helps me connect with myself at a deeper level as well. I think self-love and self-confidence ultimately for me all comes from the level of connection you allow yourself to have with yourself. So, spending time with yourself and getting to know yourself as you are. Like think about it, like when we meet people, the more we get to know them, we end up liking them more, right? Like we're like, dang, you're actually a really cool person. But it's because we took the time to have these conversations, to go to new places with them, to spend time with them. So you're the same way, right? Like get comfortable with your own company, fall in love with your own company. And I think that will then bleed into self-love and self-confidence. Guys, thank you so much. I promise not to make this super long. It's also getting really dark and I don't have additional lighting. So if you like this episode format, let me know. You guys just let me know what you like, what works for you guys, and I will continue to do that. We're just trying things out. I'm only on episode 7, so I'm learning as I go, and all feedback is not only welcome but appreciated and encouraged. Guys, if you like this episode and you got something from it, make sure you share it with someone that would benefit from it. That was a very hard sentence for me to say. I'm going to stop talking. Have a blessed night or day or evening. Wherever you are, have a blessed one of it.